Joel, I think I found something.
Whoa!
What?
Oh, nothing. It's just your forehead seems bigger than last season.
I think I found a way through.
Yes, maybe we can prop it open with something and you can slide.
Whoa! Oh my god, what?
Is it getting bigger?
Stop it.
No, seriously, what's with that?
It's fine, Joel.
Does it hurt?
Joel, please, you're making me self-conscious.
I'm sorry, it's just a little bit startling.
It's a normal head, Joel. Can we just get back to the door things?
Planetary.
Leave it.
It's gonna have its own area code soon.
I'm sorry. That was acting. That's what that was.
It was supposed to be HBO's crown jewel. The Last of Us wasn't just another video game adaptation, it was the one that finally broke the curse. A phenomenon that won awards, set streaming records, and turned Bella Ramsey into one of the most talked about young actors in Hollywood. Fans called her the future of the franchise, the new face of Ellie, the one who could carry the story into a new generation of television history. But just when it looked like Bella had secured her place as Hollywood's next big star, the cracks began to show. Season 2 sparked brutal division among fans. Story changes, pacing issues, and Bella's polarizing performance turned excitement into frustration. And then came the real gut punch. HBO canceled The Last of Us 3. Overnight, what was supposed to be Bella's breakout trilogy collapsed into a disaster no one saw coming.
Have you changed up your impression at all, or is it pretty much the same?
Well, the noise is the same. I've not got any more noises in my back pocket. The new infected are pretty terrifying. They're so smart, and they haven't really got a noise. That's the whole point of them. They're silent and terrifying.
Ooh, give us a little silent and terrifying.
Bella, that wasn't enough. TV's most savage animated show decided to make things even worse. Rick and Morty zeroed in on Bella Ramsey and The Last of Us 2, turning her performance and HBO's hype into comedy gold. The parody was ruthless. Clips spread across TikTok, Reddit, and Twitter like wildfire. And suddenly Bella wasn't being talked about as the future of prestige television, she was being roasted as a meme. Now the question isn't whether The Last of Us franchise failed, that's already written in the history books. The real question is, how did Bella Ramsey go from Emmy-nominated darling to the butt of late-night satire? And can she ever crawl back from the shadow of being mocked, ridiculed, and abandoned by the very studio that once called her the future? When HBO first announced Bella Ramsey as Ellie, it was hailed as a daring choice. The studio wanted a young actor who wasn't just talented, but also capable of bringing depth and vulnerability to one of gaming's most beloved characters. To HBO, Bella wasn't a gamble. She was a statement, a way to tell the world that The Last of Us wasn't going to be just another adaptation, but a reinvention for television. But fans weren't convinced. From the moment her casting was revealed, the internet erupted. On one side, die-hard supporters pointed to her raw performance in Game of Thrones, saying she had the grit to carry Ellie's trauma. On the other, skeptics claimed she didn't look the part, sparking endless debates about whether she could live up to the character fans had cherished for nearly a decade. The fandom was divided, and the pressure piled on before Bella even stepped onto the set. That weight wasn't just about acting, it was about legacy. Bella wasn't just stepping into Ellie's shoes, she was stepping into a cultural icon. HBO called her the future of the franchise, a title that came with impossible expectations. Every leaked photo, every casting update, every interview was torn apart on forums and social media. Before cameras even rolled, Bella Ramsey was already one of the most polarizing faces in television. When Bella finally appeared in Season 1, the praise seemed to outweigh the doubts. Critics applauded her chemistry with Pedro Pascal, and audiences warmed to her quirky, defiant take on Ellie. But by the time Season 2 arrived, the tone had shifted. The story changes hit hard. Fan-favorite arcs were twisted, beloved moments were rewritten, and Bella's portrayal became the lightning rod for all of the frustration. Some viewers praised her courage, calling her performance raw and unflinching. Others, however, claimed she felt awkward, out of place, or even miscast as Ellie grew older and the story darker. Forums exploded with memes mocking her delivery. On Twitter, threads questioning her ability to lead the franchise went viral. Even critics who once championed Bella started using words like inconsistent and lacking depth. Behind the scenes, whispers added fuel to the fire. Industry insiders spoke of rewrites, production tension, and executives privately debating whether Bella was the right long-term face of the franchise. HBO had poured millions into positioning her as the cornerstone of its next blockbuster saga. But instead of becoming the heir to television's throne, Bella was becoming the center of a storm no one at the network knew how to stop. Then came the dagger that turned controversy into humiliation. Rick and Morty, television's most savage animated juggernaut, unleashed a parody of The Last of Us 2. And they didn't just mock the game, they went straight after Bella Ramsey's Ellie. In the episode, a cartoon version of Ellie was portrayed as a bumbling, overly dramatic chosen one, stumbling through speeches and begging audiences to care. The writers fired shots at HBO's desperation to stretch the franchise, at Bella's delivery, and even at the cultural obsession with replacements for fan-favorite heroes. The parody was merciless, and it struck a nerve. Clips from the episode exploded online. TikTok edits spliced parody scenes with Bella's real footage from The Last of Us 2. Hashtags mocking her trended worldwide, with fans joking that Rick and Morty had said what everyone else was too afraid to admit. For Bella, it wasn't just a bad review, it was a public takedown, broadcast to millions, that turned her from a rising star into a living, breathing meme. Once Rick and Morty lit the match, the internet carried the fire. Within hours, Bella Ramsey's face was everywhere, stitched into parody clips, remixed into TikToks, and plastered across Reddit threads. Hashtags like #NotMyEllie and #EllieFlop trended globally, with fans turning their disappointment into a never-ending joke. The memes weren't harmless fun, they became the dominant narrative. Side-by-side edits compared Bella's real performance with her cartoon parody, exaggerating every awkward pause or stiff delivery. Even fans who had defended her early on couldn't ignore the viral wave. The cruel irony? The parody and the memes often got more engagement than HBO's official marketing. That was the breaking point. Instead of seeing Bella as the emotional anchor of a prestige series, audiences began to view her as the symbol of everything wrong with HBO's franchise gamble. It wasn't just criticism anymore, it was cultural branding. And once the internet brands you, escaping that image becomes almost impossible. As if the mockery wasn't enough, HBO dropped a bombshell that shook the fandom to its core. Season 3 was canceled. What was supposed to be the epic conclusion to Ellie's journey was axed after ratings slid and backlash mounted. For millions of fans, the story was left unfinished. For Bella Ramsey, the timing couldn't have been worse. Critics ripped Season 2 apart, calling it messy, uninspired, and painfully forgettable. Fans, already divided, found common ground in disappointment. Unlike other HBO hits that split audiences into passionate camps, The Last of Us Season 2 united them in frustration. The show didn't just lose steam, it collapsed under its own weight. And in the eyes of the public, Bella was at the center of that collapse. Her face was on every poster, every trailer, every interview. When the project tanked, she became the scapegoat. Instead of being remembered as Ellie, the survivor who carried the world on her shoulders, Bella was painted as the actress who couldn't hold up a franchise that had been hyped as untouchable. The fallout was brutal. Insiders whispered that HBO executives, once adamant about Bella being the future, were already second-guessing. Casting rumors suggested she would be quietly sidelined from future projects, or worse, replaced in spin-offs altogether. Silence from HBO only made the speculation louder. It wasn't just HBO. Across Hollywood, casting directors started to hesitate. Bella Ramsey had gone from Emmy-nominated rising star to a-risk studios that might have lined up brand partnerships or new roles pulled back, unwilling to gamble on someone tied to such a high-profile flop. The opportunities that should have skyrocketed her career instead evaporated into thin air. And for Bella, the silence was the loudest betrayal. No public defense, no corporate statements of support, just a quiet retreat by the very network that once promised her the world. In an industry where perception is everything, Bella Ramsey's perception was shifting into dangerous territory. Not as the next great actress, but as a liability no one wanted to touch. Just when Bella thought the storm might finally pass, Rick and Morty twisted the knife. The writers doubled down, releasing a second parody that didn't just mock The Last of Us 2, it ridiculed the collapse of The Last of Us 3 before it even had a chance to exist. In the episode, the cartoon version of Ellie delivered endless Chosen One monologues, only to be laughed at by other characters for being painfully out of touch. The climax was cruelly symbolic, Ellie accidentally destroying her own mission mid-battle, a not-so-subtle jab at HBO sabotaging itself. The audience roared with laughter, and the internet wasted no time turning it into another meme storm. Being parodied once was bad enough. Twice? That cemented Bella Ramsey not as a misunderstood star, but as a recurring joke in pop culture. For a young actress still trying to prove herself, being immortalized as satire was worse than being forgotten. It made her the face of HBO's biggest embarrassment. Behind the scenes, Bella Ramsey was reportedly furious. Sources close to the production claimed she felt abandoned by HBO, betrayed by the silence of a network that had once called her the future of television. While the internet piled on, HBO said nothing. No defense, no statement, no pushback. The backlash grew, and Bella's frustration spilled into gossip circles. Industry insiders started to whisper that Bella was combative and difficult to work with. Articles painted her as angry and entitled, framing her as someone who couldn't handle criticism. Whether the rumors were true or not didn't matter. Perception spread faster than fact. And every new headline added fuel to the fire. Instead of sympathy, Bella got ridicule. Instead of being remembered for her performances, she became the center of scandal and memes. In Hollywood, reputation is everything, and Bella's was collapsing in real time, dragged through the mud by fans, critics, and the very industry she once thought she had conquered. The fallout didn't stop with HBO. Word spread that brand deals were quietly canceled, auditions went silent, and casting directors who once saw Bella as a rising star suddenly treated her as toxic. Fan podcasts and YouTube channels began branding her as the actress who sank HBO's golden franchise. The label stuck, and it spread fast. Instead of being remembered as the Ellie who defined a generation, Bella Ramsey was being tied to the downfall of The Last of Us. Forums called her casting the nail in the coffin for the show, and her name became synonymous with one of HBO's most embarrassing cancellations. For an actor, momentum is everything, and Bella's had evaporated. Every parody, every rumor, every mocking headline pushed her further away from the stardom she once seemed destined for. And now, instead of asking, "What's next for Bella Ramsey?" the industry was whispering a much darker question. Is she finished? But here's the thing about Hollywood. It's unpredictable. Stars have been mocked, ridiculed, even written off, only to claw their way back into the spotlight. For every actor who faded into obscurity, there are others who turned disaster into reinvention. Bella Ramsey's story doesn't have to end here. The problem is that her challenge is bigger than most. She doesn't just need a new role, she needs redemption. To shake off the stigma of being the face of HBO's most public flop, she would have to deliver a performance so undeniable, so unforgettable, that it rewrites the narrative. Anything less won't be enough, and time isn't on her side. Every week, new memes surface. Every month, new parodies emerge. The longer she stays in the shadow of The Last of Us, the harder it becomes to step out. Hollywood moves fast, and actors who fall behind are rarely offered a second chance. For Bella, the next move could decide everything, either the comeback of the decade or a slow fade into irrelevance. The question isn't just whether Bella Ramsey can survive the mockery. The real question is, does she have the strength, the strategy, and the luck to turn the punchline into power? Because if she doesn't, her career might forever be remembered as one of the harshest cautionary tales in modern television. The Last of Us was supposed to be Bella Ramsey's defining legacy. She was meant to step into Ellie's shoes, carry the franchise, and lead HBO into a new era of prestige television. Instead, the project unraveled. Season 2 sparked backlash. Season 3 was canceled, and Rick and Morty turned her into satire, not once, but twice. The irony is impossible to ignore. Bella Ramsey wanted to be remembered as the actress who brought Ellie to life. Instead, she became a symbol of a franchise's collapse. Memes replaced praise, mockery replaced acclaim, and silence from HBO sealed her fate in the court of public opinion. In Hollywood, perception is everything, and Bella's perception has never been more fragile. Whether she manages to reinvent herself with a career-defining comeback or remains trapped as the face of HBO's most ridiculed failure is a story only time will tell. One thing is certain, the fairy tale that began with The Last of Us has ended. And for Bella Ramsey, the punchline may outlive the role itself.